Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to show you a card that I'm making for my swaps from the new catalogue. So this is paper and a stamp set from the new annual catalogue, and that goes live in May. And I'm making a really simple double fold card. It hasn't got a back that makes it stand up. But if you wanted, instead of using this plain piece on the back, you could use a folded card and then it would stand up. So the set that I'm using is from one of the new masculine sets, and it's the He's All That set. I've literally only just opened it and I've only got one stamp that I'm using, and it's this little Happy Birthday to a Classic. So I'm using that, and I'm using the matching designer series paper. And just let me move that and I'll show you the paper. It's really, really good for masculine cards, and I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. So there's this sheet, and I'm using this just as an accent piece. This little one with the cars on, and I am using that piece. I'm using some of this that has the ties and the moustache with this backing. I love this backing. If you have those suit dies from the last catalogue, I think that would make a great suit. Okay, and then some of my favourites. This barbecue one, I'm going to use this on my son's card. He does a lot of smoking of meat, and I think this would be a fun little paper to go on his. And it's got the Cajun Craze diagonal stripes. This little camping one that I really, really love. I'll probably use this on my husband's cards because we go camping a lot. And then these. There are 2 sheets with all of these die cuts. And the 2 sheets are the same. But this would be great for scrapbooking or journal making. I am going to make a journal with some of mine, so I will video that. I'm not making it just yet, but I will be videoing that so you can see how to use this as well. I love this little piece that looks like a scrappy torn piece out of an old notepad. That would be really good on journals. Oh, let me put that little camper van back in. So that's my designer series paper, and let me just tell you what the colours are in that. It's basic black, Cajun Craze, crushed curry, early espresso, Sahara sand and soft succulent. So very sort of neutral colours, but really, really nice. I do love those journaling ones. Okay, so this is the card, and it is just a really simple double front flap card. You can have it so that the little flap is on the left, or you can turn it and have the little one on the right. It doesn't matter, whichever way you want it. Just be careful about the orientation of the paper if you're changing it from what I've made. So to start with, I've already stamped all my little pieces for the front, and I used this one in early espresso, and then I used some of the new dies, and they're called Stylish Shapes, and they're the circles and the squares and these gorgeous banners, and they're all stitched. I used the 1, 2, 3, 4th square, and if you use them together they would make a nice little frame to go around things. So you could use 2 and do a cutout frame. Same with the circles. I haven't used the banners yet, but I am liking the look of those. Okay, so I have all those pieces already cut using the stylish frames and stamped with my early espresso. And to make the card you need just a piece of basic white. It's 4 by 5 1/4. I will put the sizes on my blog later, so don't worry about having to write them down. And this is the piece we start with. Then I've got a piece of early espresso which is cut at 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, and on the long side I've scored it at 1/2 inch. Okay, and that, for me, that's going to go that way to fit on this right hand side, but if you wanted it to go this way then just make sure you've got the score at the left hand side. And the designer series paper to go on that, I chose the little classic cars. So I'm just going to attach this here. I'm going to use liquid glue, just so that if I don't quite have it straight, it won't matter. I can wiggle it round while the glue's still wet. And you've got just 1/4 inch for that border. So it fits in there really nicely. And then I'm going to fold this edge over and just go over it with my bone folder. Okay, so that's one flap. For the smaller flap, I've used Early Espresso again, and this time I'm keeping the score line at the left-hand side because I want it to open this way. Okay, and I've cut a little bit of my designer series paper, and the paper is cut at 2.5 by 2.5, and I chose this one, but I'm using this sort of brighter colour. I'm just going to attach that to there. And this is a really, really easy card. You don't even have to have the flaps right in the middle. I've made it before where I've put this bottom flap right near the bottom, and I've just altered the designer series paper in it, or not used the designer series paper, but I've put it so that it opens at the bottom, and that's quite cute too. Okay, now we'll fold that one over on that score line. So there are our 2 flaps already made. I'm going to add my little stamped piece onto it as well. And in this suite there are dies, and a lot of the dies are like label shapes. So you can stamp your images and then cut out on different labels. And in the suite as well there are, oh, let me think what they're called. They're like a brushed metal embellishment. I can't think what the name is. I'll try and write it on the blog so that you know. But you could use the embellishments on here as well. Okay, so I'm literally just going to put on our little strips of designer series paper and then these flaps, and that's the card done. So I've got all sorts of little scraps to use for my flaps. On this one I used that piece that looks like a suit. Let me see, what else did I have? Oh, I have some of the scraps from this piece that we used on here, and that's got sort of a diamond pattern on. Let's put the diamond pattern one on. Okay. So save those scraps because they are just perfect for going on the inside of the card. I'm going to make it so that I have the plainer diamonds, not the dark ones, the plainer ones at the top. So I'll have to remember to do that at the bottom as well so that it matches. Okay. Oh, that's a whole flock of geese just flying over the house. That's what that strange noise is. Right, so I want the light ones at the bottom. I don't want to see all of that peeping through on the front, but I want to be able to see it when I open it and look on the inside. If you wanted to stamp a sentiment on the inside, now's the time to do it. Don't do it once you've got it glued to the board, to the backing, because you've got these flaps underneath, and if you happen to get your stamp not quite straight and on that little bump, then it won't stamp properly. Okay. Right, so we can line these 2 pieces up. I'm going to put mine dead in the middle. You can use a tear and tape on here. I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Whatever glue works for you. Stampin' Seal Plus would be really good for this one. And to get it right in the middle, I know that it's going to go this way, and I know that it's 3/4 inch at either side that I've got. So I just line it up on my grid paper, and I know I need 3 squares. So I'm going to pop that there. Can you see I've got 3 squares showing here and 3 squares showing there. And then I know that it's perfectly straight. Let's pop that in there, and I'm just going to go over it with my bone folder again just to make sure that that piece is laying nice and flat before I adhere it to the card base. Okay, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with this little piece. except it's to centre it up I need 5 little squares or 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to pop it over here and let's do it from the middle. 1 2 3 4 5. So I know that it's going to go onto this line here and it just covers the edges of the designer series paper. So let me make sure that it's straight there. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay. I'm going to get my bone folder again and just go over this, just to make sure that the glue is squidged all the way to the edges and it's lying nice and flat. Okay. So there's our basic flaps already done. I told you it was really quick and easy. So then I'm using a piece of early espresso for my base, and this is just 1/4 of a sheet, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and you literally just adhere this on. If you wanted it to have this as like an ordinary card base, just let me take one out of my box. It won't be the right colour. Let me just fold this over. So this would be just 1/2 a sheet of card. So instead you could have this. Oh, that looks really nice actually in the Cajun Craze, doesn't it? And then you could open it and you would have a little space inside for sort of a secret message. And then this one as well. But for these, I'm going to put them just on the one base. Does look nice on Cajun Craze though. Really picks up the colour from the designer series paper. Okay, and I'm only using liquid glue. You could use a tear and tape again, you could use Stampin' Seal, whatever stronger glue works for you. I wouldn't use just my Stampin' Seal. You could use Stampin' Seal Plus, but the Stampin' Seal on its own, it's not quite strong enough to adhere this and this extra layer. I like to just make sure that it's not going to unpeel or anything. So there we go. Just go over this. And you'll feel that there's a little ridge here where these flaps are folded in, but that's okay. And there we are, that's our card all made. If you wanted to add embellishments, you could put a few on the front here, even on this layer as well, and that would look really cute. So check out my blog. I will put the link on the YouTube so that you can go and find the instructions, the things I used, and all the measurements. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all again really soon. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.